Hello, everybody, and welcome to Spiritual Talk.
Hi, everyone. Good to see you all.
Hello, mate.
Hiya, mate. Good to see you. Wednesday is here again.
It's here. It's another Wednesday. It's another Spiritual Talk.
It is. And hello, everyone joining us already. Hello to you all.
Yeah, it's good to see everybody. Hi, Paul Cook. Hi, Emma. Hi, Julie. And we got our usuals on. Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. Don't forget to share, guys, as well. You've got a chance of winning a free reading tonight as well. And Anthony and I are going to be doing some readings later, messages later on.
Yeah.
So stay around. Also, guys, we've got a special guest this evening. We have none other than Jonathan, Elaine Thorpe's guide. Yeah. Now, the actual interview, Anthony and I pre-recorded, but I believe if Elaine can join us tonight, she's going to come in after the interview and answer a few questions herself and say hello. So that'll be fabulous if she can join us as well, because I know she has other commitments on a Wednesday evening.
Yeah.
So it'll be wonderful. She can come in and say hello. So please, guys, share away, get the program shared, and we can start the interview.
Yeah, definitely share it, everyone, and remember that free reading that we'll give at the end of the show. Definitely share it out to everyone, and it will be my turn this week, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
Really take notice tonight, everyone. It's such an interesting meeting that we had with Elaine and, of course, Jonathan as well. So lots to learn, lots to think about and ponder as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to add this to the stream, guys, and then I'm going to press play. Then I'll drop Anthony and I out, and we'll come back at the end of the interview. Okay, so here we go. See if my technological skills can go this far, mate. You ready?
Absolutely. Let's go.
Okay, so I've just got to jump onto the other page, and I'll drop us out. Okay, here we go. Any problems, I'll come back in, so don't worry, guys. We're not going anywhere. So hopefully we got sound. No, there's no sound for some reason. There we go.
Nice to see you both.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you here with us this evening, and thank you for joining us.
You are most welcome.
So if you don't mind, we have a few questions we'd like to ask you for the viewers of Spiritual Talk and those of the wider community and whoever out there is listening. We'd like to get the messages from Spirit into the world. One of the first things we wanted to ask you, Jonathan, was about transition and our own transition and what to expect when we transition into spirit world.
Each one of you is going to be different in what you expect to see on the other side. But the most purported common of visions when you go to the other side is the warmth of the white light. It may be golden white, it may be bright white light. And it somehow draws you in, pulls you into it, and you feel so much love. You can hear sometimes your people calling out to you. They are very, very happy that you are returning home again. They are excited to see you. And so they are going to welcome you when you get to the other side. Some people may purport going into a garden, or they may take on old memories that they are seeing from their lifetimes. Somewhere may they like to have lived. Old memories. Some may go through the universe and travel around it and see it all around them and feel so free. But whatever way they go across, the most common one is the white light that they feel that they are pulled into. Some people will say, well, the white light, don't go into it, you will be reincarnated instantly. No, that is not the case, because I went into it and here I am.
Yes. Yes. That's such a beautiful thing. But do you remember your own transition, Jonathan?
Yes, I certainly do.
Oh.
I remember raising above my body, having had a heart attack.
Okay.
I remember looking at my body on the cold cobblestones, the sunny morning I might add, being it an August month. But I felt that that body looked very unwell and wasn't moving, and I realized that I was feeling very good, looking down at my body and seeing the people attending to it and waiting for a doctor to come, because in those days there weren't particularly any ambulances. They would have to come by horse and carriage.
Yes.
Although in the later 1800s, the early 1900s, there would have been vehicles, but I went across just before most of that happened.
Right.
But once I got out of my body, there appeared my grandmother that had passed previous to me. She looked so beautiful, she looked so radiant. And I was saying to her, have I passed away? And she was saying, well, Jonathan, I know it is a bit of a shock, but it is your time to come home. And so I took her hand as she had asked me to take it. And she felt so warm, so beautiful, so alive. I always loved her. She was so very close to me. She was on my mother's side. And so I relied upon her to come and take me. As she took me into the light, and as she took me there, she disappeared. And I wondered where she had gone at first.
Yeah.
But I knew that I felt fine, and I knew that I would see her in a moment. And then I felt myself going into a beautiful, warm, loving light. If you were to look at it with the naked eye, you would probably put sunglasses on. It was so bright, but yet not blinding. I was able to feel myself enveloped in it. And as I came to what seemed like the end of that white light, I felt so free, so wonderful. Yet I felt like I still had a body, yet I was a live being. And there she was again, my grandmother, welcoming me home and saying, Jonathan, this is your home now. And I was so happy to be there. Then I was put in front of what you call God, the giver of divine. And there I was shown the entirety of my life. But having said that, the most poignant parts of the entirety of my life, I was able to say, well, yes, I did well in that part. I didn't do so well in that part of my life. I could have done better. And I was proud of myself in that part of my life. So you see, everything is shown to you in what seems like a moment. It flashes by in front of you, but yet you can make it out in great detail. And so that is every thought and every deed that you ever did in this physical lifetime. And thereafter that, I would hear the angels singing, welcoming me home. Many people will take a different journey around and see their guides, see their loved ones. They sort of want to get used to the whole experience again, having lived an earthly life for quite some time.
Yeah.
Those that pass in childhood, well, they feel as if they have never been away. And those that pass in adulthood in a state of shock don't always make the transition to the light straight away. They may hang around until their funeral takes place, and then they will go to the light, knowing that they have passed, that they will always be loved and taken care of. They may have unfinished business, you see. Or they may hang around if it is a murder until the mystery is solved, but they will still be in the light. Once the mystery is solved, sometimes they will go further into the realms of spirit. But you will always be loved. you will always be taken into the light.
That's beautiful.
There are those that go across in trauma, and sometimes they go through the darkness because they have gone across in terrible depressive states through no fault of their own, because they are loved, but they go through that realm and experience it and call out to God, and then they are immediately taken into the light. We love you. So that is where I went. That is what I experienced. It only seemed to be like a flash of a moment. Yet it became my eternity.
Okay.
I was to learn many things about connecting with your world in your time. So I do hope that explains it for you.
Beautifully. Thank you. Because a lot of people fear death, Jonathan. They're not necessarily fear how they're going to die. It's more that process of dying. That was explained beautifully. Thank you.
Well, I think that there need be no fear, because you are eternally loved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people go across with certain regrets in life, but they will see that when they are shown their life paths. But your soul is infinitely beautiful. It is perfect. So you are not judged.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you, Jonathan. How does it work, or with you and Elaine? Did you have this common pact before incarnation in her lifetime for you to work together in different capacities, or in other lifetimes? Have you known each other? How does this work from a spiritual point of view?
Well, she was briefly with me in my time in my previous life. And of course, she came to work from the north. She came down with her aunt to find some work in London. Her parents had separated, one had passed away, and so therefore she decided to leave and come to London. Her aunt took her on as she lived in London, and she lived with her aunt for a little while. So she came into my home to work as a maid, as Mary Ann Ellsworth. That was her name.
Ah.
Okay.
And so we didn't understand the twin soul connection then. We just knew something that was there that was powerful. But that went on for 9 years.
Ah.
Until then, she was sacked and put into the workhouses. Not through any of my decision, of course. Yes. In those days, if people were seen to be doing that sort of thing, they would be seen as being disgraceful to the family, you see. And so therefore, a lot of them were sent into the workhouses. But she remained there for a few years until she met and married her husband after that. But by then, I had already passed. But there is a twin soul connection that everybody has. There is not one of you that doesn't have one. Mostly they reside in spirit and the other one is on the earth, but in a rare time, they may incarnate on the earth together and meet. And therefore, mostly they will be of service in life. Well, this is how we do it from spirit.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are, of course, other lifetimes that I have very briefly lived or seen the lake, yes. But there is a strong connection.
That's beautiful. So the connection itself then allows you to blend with Elaine a more deeper, more finer connection, Jonathan?
Yes, it does. I must say that it makes it a little easier. Knowing that you are working alongside your twin soul, you have an infinite, wonderful connection together that is going to be deeply refined. And so therefore, there is greater trust over time. Of course, the fact that Elaine is human, she still has the human ego. And so therefore, there may be doubt and questionable.
Yeah.
And I would say that she is not always going to understand that I am here and that I am real, but she has come to know that now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the human mind is somewhat inquisitive and questionable, and so therefore we do not mind. We want you to question us. We don't necessarily want you to doubt us, but we know that you sometimes will, because you are living in a human world and you have human expectations.
Yeah. 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 Jonathan, I know you spoke quite a lot about these times that we live in today and the difficulties we potentially face in the future. But is there something we can do on an individual basis that would help us in the transition, to help us? And I don't necessarily mean passing over. I mean raising our own vibration within ourselves.
Well, to trust in yourself and the universe. You are all part of this universe. And I guess you could say that God is the universe is God, and God is everything.
Yeah.
A piece of that is within everything. So if you trust that your life is laid out before you because your soul had planned it all, then you know that you are going to live it out and things are going to be fine. But sometimes you have what you call an amnesia that you are given before you enter into this world, and sometimes you may have snippets of the world that you have come from.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or previous lives and such. But if you remembered every detail of what you had planned, there would be no challenge, there would be no adventure to enjoy rediscovering it. And that is how you learn.
Yeah.
So you are given this amnesia, and you come into this world, and you have planned everything. So you will live it all out. Whether it be short and sweet or a long life, you will live it as the soul had planned it.
Yeah.
So, for instance, if someone is going to have a near-death experience and their soul had not planned to return to the spirit world at that point in time, but it had planned to perhaps learn something from it so that the being could go back to Earth and then let everybody know that the spirit life is real. And that would help people to discover that there is an afterlife.
Yeah.
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 We are not here. Yes, we are.
Yes.
Jonathan, I got another question for you. What's your take on an individual on the earth plane who chooses to take their own life by suicide? I have asked this question to Spirit before, but for our viewers, for our show, for the people that we are educating with love and compassion, for this particular question, which I'm repeating again, what is the take on it from an educational point of view when someone takes their own life? Is this part of their own path that they've chosen when it happens? How does it work in that respect?
Well, it is usually part of the soul's path. But it is not to say that suicide is a good thing, because sometimes it can somewhat impede the spiritual growth. But sometimes souls come into the world and they simply cannot cope. And they want to leave, and they want to see a way out, and they want to go back home again. And they haven't realized that there is love and support. They just feel very much alone. They may not be spiritually minded.
Yeah.
But there again, the soul, as I say, had pre-planned everything. And maybe it had to learn something from that passing. Maybe there was something for the people of the earth whom that soul was connected to physically, had to learn something from it. Maybe there was a greater purpose within it, because sometimes souls, like for instance, sons or daughters have passed at a young age through suicide or through accidents, and they have ended up, by doing that, they bring the parent to being spiritual, believing in the afterlife. It is not on all occasions, but some, where they actually have become spiritual through their children's passing. And so therefore that soul did that, went across and planned that so that the other one could go on their spiritual journey.
Oh.
You
Okay.
see it, you learn something from it. Although it is terrible in the human mind, the soul has a greater understanding of why.
Right.
So out of some of those terrible things came something wonderful. Because if that person hadn't passed, would the other one be going on the spiritual journey?
Yeah.
It's like a puzzle, you see. It all fits in the end, and you begin to understand the explanation.
Yeah.
All of you souls will all help each other on your journeys. It may be a journey where you have to be awkward with one another in life, but you will still teach one another something on the soul's journey. You're all as one in consciousness. And so therefore you will be continuing to help one another to ascend without you realize it.
Yeah. So, Jonathan, if that soul does leave early, shall we say, because they've taken their life, some people believe they can get stuck. Is that a real thing, or can that soul be helped across in transition?
I believe that sometimes they will hang around because they will not always want to accept that they have passed.
Yeah.
They may still feel like they are seemingly physical and want everybody to notice that they have passed, and they're trying to get their attention. So there is sort of unfinished business there. But the immediate that they are shown the light and go into it, with maybe a little bit of help, they come to realize that they have passed, and that there is a wonderful place that they can go to and be safe and warm and loved.
Yeah. Yeah, that's beautiful. Could that equally be said for those that have passed in shock, that feel, it wasn't their time? Can they also hang around for that, not ready to move over?
Yes, they can, I do believe, but sometimes they will hang around, as I say, until the justice is done.
Yeah.
Not for many years, but I do find that some of the souls will go to the higher realms of spirit once the justice has been done where there has been a murder taking place. Because it is quite a shocking experience to see yourself outside of your body having been murdered. You're not particularly accepting to be ready for passing over in such a shocking way.
Yeah.
They may want to hang around and bring that person to the perpetrator to justice.
Yeah.
So the perpetrator is brought to justice. And then they make the proper ascension to the light because their work is done.
Yes.
It is different with all cases.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
You've mentioned, Jonathan, a few times about going to the light and the higher realms once an individual is ready to pass to that higher level or higher light, higher realms. What is your take on the higher realms? What does that offer when people go to that level?
Well, it offers much learning. And for instance, if some of the souls that are from higher realms will want to work with the human beings spiritually on earth. So they may learn how to connect with these realms of spirit, which is not always easy because we come to your earthly realm, which is quite thick with energy and densified and heavy. And so we will need to learn how to come through that, how to perhaps speak through that in trance or healing, whatever the medium is doing. But we will quite often work from that realm, and it is a pleasure to be in that realm. The higher you go, the more pure of light you become. You become brighter.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Is the vibration of the higher spheres, the higher levels, is there a some say there's like a music, there's like a calling, like the music of the angels. Is this true, Jonathan?
Yes, it is. Elaine has heard the angels singing in her ear twice.
Oh, it's beautiful.
And yes, I often go and listen to the angels singing. It is wonderful to listen to.
And that very vibration, is that very much a healing vibration? Why they sing? Why would it, or is it literally for forgive me for saying this, an entertainment to kind of, or a collective? I'm not quite sure what I'm trying
Well,
to.
it is all souls coming together to create love and healing.
Ah,
Or sometimes the angels will sing because they are joyous because souls have arrived home again.
yeah. Yeah.
And Jonathan, would angels ever incarnate in the physical world or not?
No, they don't need to.
No.
They can be sometimes seen as looking like a person for a very brief moment, and then you turn around, they disappear. They have come to do their purpose, and then they go back.
Yeah.
But they are not needing to incarnate a full-term life, because they are what I call God's army of love. They are already part of the higher realms, you see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yes. I'm sure that people do enjoy having them around them.
Yeah. Yeah. People talk about symbols as well, Jonathan. Robins, feathers. Is there any truth in this?
Yes, there is, yes.
Yeah, that's good to know. It's good to know. A lot of people rely on, I see the robin. I believe that was my mother. She loved robins. So many people look for those signs.
Well, if you ask us for a sign, we are very good at doing that.
Yeah.
I have sent Elaine many signs in my time here.
Yes, we have sent her signs.
Yeah.
And Jonathan, I understand there's more than yourself that works with Elaine, with the energy that's around her. She works with more than just yourself.
Yes, that is right. She has her twin Karen. Sometimes we have the Lady Genevieve. Sometimes little Sophie will come through. And on a rare occasion, Grey Wolf. But there are others in the background. Her brother helps her in the background, yes. Her father and mother, now that they have joined in spirit, will all help in the background.
That's beautiful. Jonathan, how do you perceive us here on the earth plane from your perspective?
I perceive you to be souls that are learning, souls that are having the human experience, souls that are learning about empathy in human form, and that I understand that they have difficulties, having had lives myself. So all of your guides will have known you in other lifetimes, and they will know everything there is to know about you and your soul. You have a wonderful connection.
Yeah.
We will show you the way. Yes, that we will.
Yeah.
Jonathan, does it ever get to a point where an individual, when they're in spirit, get to a point where they don't really need to come back into a physical world anymore?
Yes, they do. They get to such a high realm that they have no need to reincarnate again. And then quite often they will work from that side, become a spirit guide, perhaps. or they will work on the healing side and be a helper to a soul here on the earth that is having a human experience.
Yeah. Can you also, is it true that you can also see our energy, our colors, our vibration, Jonathan, from your side?
Yes, I can. I can see your soul lighting up to me, and I can see all the colors in and around it. I can see your energy, but I can also see you as human.
Okay.
Okay.
Very exciting.
Yeah, that's quite exciting. And is it true, Jonathan, we're again going back to transition, when we leave the body, our souls become aware of that collective consciousness we all are connected to, and our minds become more open to that? We become more connected, for want of a better word.
Yes, we do, automatically.
Automatically. Okay.
Yes.
And some of the lessons that we've learned here on, or here to learn, I mean, you know, we fail, we get it wrong. Do we feel that pain?
You will feel pain and emotion of others when you are shown your lifetime and what you have done in it.
Yeah.
Yes. You see, when you become empathic, you begin to feel others' pain. You begin to connect to others' emotions, not that you want to take it home with you, but you do tend to start to feel. And you understand that if you step into another's shoes, just for a moment, you will feel the lifetime that they are living, and you will understand why they behave in the way that they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, this is what me and Paul was finding. The more empathy we have in even creating this show to help people when lockdown and everything was happening, but to come together, especially today in this unique way, to be able to connect and help people. From your point of view, when people like ourselves, for example, who are more empathically aware of others' feelings, where would you say people as mediums, as trance mediums, are going to be able to get to a point to lift the world with people's pain?
I do believe that they will do as much as they possibly can. You see, your world runs by negative and positive.
Yeah.
And sometimes it gets a little out of kilter. So people that come for this purpose will work to rebalance it. Because through the negative comes the positive and the greater appreciation of the positive. So it's not all bad, really, is it? If you look at the positive side of it, what have you learned from the negative that brings you to where you are now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jonathan, I wanted to ask about our own individual ability to become more spiritual. Is there something that we could do, we could work on? And not, is it just about being a better person in life? How do we become more spiritual? How do we become more open to receive?
I would say go within, meditate, trust, faith, all of those things that bring you to believing further that we are real. We are not here to interfere with your life. We are just here to guide you along and remind you of what you had chosen, at the same time as connecting with you and giving you signs that we love you.
Yeah.
One of these days, Elaine will go away from her consciousness and I will be able to say further things. But of course, she's not getting in the way. It's just that I think that sometimes more can be done if the being steps back a little more. See, that has to be done over time. But one of these days, you will see something, I'm sure.
That's interesting. Watch
Yes.
space. Yeah.
So, Jonathan, there's still more work to be done with Elaine from how you're working with her.
Of course, there is always progression and room for betterment. Even with you and your guides, it is all about progression.
Yeah.
Ascension, maybe.
Ascension, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is this the ultimate goal of the soul?
Yes, it is. To return to the true self in earthly life and then ascend in the realms of spirit when returning home. This is a realm that you are in. I keep telling everyone that, and it is.
Yeah.
It is the most physical realm that you could possibly get. If your Bible talks about the many mansions, that is the many realms.
Okay.
You see, everything was symbolic in that Bible. It was a message given by spirit. It was manipulated by man, shall we say, but most of it is symbolic.
Yeah. Yeah. So on that very note, can we talk about the Christ consciousness? I mean, can we ask, did Christ really exist?
Yes, he did, yes.
I'm sorry to ask that. I almost feel like I want to apologize for asking that.
You do not have to apologize. Yes, he did exist as a prolific medium and healer.
Yeah.
But of course, from the highest possible place, the highest realm of spirit, he decided to come down and teach something about connecting the mind and the heart, the soul, to the universe. He taught many things about the similarity of things that we are talking about.
Yeah.
But of course, in those times, it was very primitive, and they mostly believed in what they were told and given controlled minds, even in those times.
Yeah.
If you feed something into the mind that is going to be negative, it is manipulative, you see. But when you become spiritual through your own choice, well, that is freedom.
Yeah.
As long as you do it in the right way, you do it in the light, you're genuine, well, you're only ever going to get good, aren't you?
Yeah.
That is all that you can do.
Yeah.
Jonathan, you mentioned of many times of love and connection and freedom and the understanding that goes with that from the questions we've asked so far. But in relation to Paul's question, bringing in the Christ consciousness understanding,
Yes.
where does it sit with spirit about religion and the many religions that doth this earth plane in relation to coming back to the understanding of always helping with love and compassion? How does that take on you?
Well, I believe that religion is created by man. And it is about freedom of mind, isn't it? Spirituality is complete going within and freedom of mind and pureness of thought. But of course, the human in itself isn't ever going to be particularly pure because you are making mistakes for your soul's progression, really. You didn't understand it, but you are.
Yeah.
Sometimes some more than others. But the being that you call Christ or Jesus or Yeshua is the one that is trying to teach you to be pure of mind and thought as much as you possibly can, and be empathic towards others and be forgiving to others. For that shall create the soul's ascension.
Yeah.
And to heal others, and to show them our world, and to take away their fears of coming to our world. And those chosen few are here to do that.
Jonathan, can I ask about your own ascension? I mean, as a guide and that soul connection with Elaine, but what about now? We're sitting here asking how we can unfold and how we can open. But what about your own development, working as a guide?
Working as a guide, I have learned many new things. How to create clearer and more concise connection. And how to understand that in time that Elaine would trust. But of course, in spirit, we already know that side of it. We know exactly when she is going to come around to being trusting enough to let go so that we can go further, you see. So it is about my soul's development and ascension in the spirit world And because we came together to serve this world, then that is going to bring about my further ascension into the light. Of course, I am learning how to connect with your world and how to bring across as much information that is going to be understood by the human mind so that I can learn and ascend. And so they can also learn and ascend.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was going to ask as well, is there any messages from the spirit world that you'd like to give our viewers or listeners from the spirit world to help them through? Some people are going through some difficult times here at the moment.
Well, I would say, again, go within and tell yourself how beautiful your soul is within inside of yourself and that you are worthy of love. Tell yourself that you, besides others, all have a purpose in this world. You are not unworthy. You are worthy of everything, and you are worthy of love. Go within and tell yourself how beautiful that you are, how magnificent your human body is, and how even more magnificent your soul is.
Yeah.
Give yourself love as well as giving it to others. Treat yourself as you would want to treat others. If you are going to treat others well, then treat yourself the same. Do not begrudge yourself of how you would treat them. And do not hate yourself. Because everyone makes mistakes. Well, they are mistakes that are part of the greater puzzle of learning about the ascension. The soul growing and learning through negative and positive.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we have so many distractions, though, Jonathan, the internet, social media, that takes us further and further away from ourselves.
Well, at the moment, it is bringing you closer to spirituality because you are here using your internet, talking to me. So in that sense of looking at it, it's positive. You see, we knew all about these computers that would happen. We knew that there would be negative attached to it, but we also knew that a greater positive would come out of it because the spiritual people could connect and help others all around the world. And if you didn't have them, you wouldn't be able to do half as much as what you are doing today because you wouldn't have known each other existed.
Yeah.
So you've got to look at it from the greater side of the problem, as you see it as a problem. It isn't a problem as such because look at what it is doing.
Yeah.
You're always going to have the scales of the negative and positive alongside each other, like a battery. As I always say that, it is like a battery. If you were to put a battery into a machine, it had two positives, simply wouldn't work. If you were to put it in the machine, it had two negatives, wouldn't work. But if you have negative and positive at either end, it's going to create a current, it's going to work. Now do you see what I'm trying to get at?
Yes.
Yeah.
So without that, your world simply wouldn't work. But then it gets out of balance. And as I say, we are here to bring it back to balance again.
Yeah.
For instance, if you didn't have money in your world, then you would all be arguing and being greedy and looting, as they call it in your modern society. One would be taking all and leaving another with nothing, because there would still be greed. So that, you know, if you wanted to go out and buy a television and you didn't have to buy it at all free, you would go in there and help yourself to all of the televisions.
Yeah.
And you would do the same with everything. You see, there would be greed, there would be nothing, because everybody would be greedy and take the lot. And leave one with nothing and not care. You see, so that, you know, it had to work with money. But you had to buy things, and then you couldn't just take it all. So there is a reason for every single thing. And if you see it and look at it right down to the base of that point of view, then you'll see the purpose of life.
Yeah.
the soul always wanted to have the human experience as well as the spiritual experience. It's not that we get bored in heaven and we think, well, we'll go down and have a human life now. I'll go and live with a rich family and buy a racing car to drive around in. It's all part of the soul's experience and growth. Yes. The meaning of life, shall we say. We don't even have all of the answers ourselves. We are learning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Jonathan, we can't thank you enough for coming on this evening. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you so much.
You are very welcome.
Thank you ever so much. And I'm sure a lot of your words and wisdom will help many people when they listen to our show.
I am sure that it will. Let's hope they can take something from it.
Yeah. Thank you ever so much.
That was brilliant. Hello, Elaine. Welcome to Spiritual Talk.
Hi, Elaine. Good to see you.
I don't know what happened there. I kind of lost the feed. So it was right at the very end, people. So, Elaine, thank you for joining us live.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all right.
And a few people have asked a couple of questions. Do you mind asking a few questions? And I wanted to ask you about your experience as well, if you don't mind, when you're in trance and where you go and how you feel. Can we kick off with that one? Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. You know, when I'm in the trance, you know, I relax and I'm able to kind of visualize things, be shown things. You know, your mind goes on a little bit of a journey, and sometimes it's like a little movie playing inside my mind as I go in. You know, I might see faces, or I might see scenery. You know, and I try to create my own imagery inside my mind as well. So sometimes it's a little bit forced. And I think, oh, I can't stay there because my mind wants to go elsewhere. So the best thing I find is just to try and relax and let my mind be free and allow either stuff to come to me in my mind and try to let go. So I'm still sort of practicing that side of it.
Yeah.
Still trying to relax further, you know, and not be too expectant on myself to try too hard to visualize a place. Just to let the movie kind of flick through and until I'm relaxed enough to accept that it's not so much my mind, it's me relaxing and going into another space. And then when I begin to sense Jonathan, I usually see him as a picture, moving movie in my mind. You know, he'll take my hands and he'll smile at me and he'll say, "Are you ready?" And then he'll step into my energy and I'll begin to feel him over my face, like a film of energy and features over my face. And that's how it goes on. The music kind of pulls me in. That's why I have music.
Yeah.
Obviously, on YouTube, I can't do it because of copyright. But
because I edited out we went straight into talking to Jonathan when I edited the video. And a lot of people don't realize that it can take some time to go into that space.
Yeah.
And after, I guess.
Yeah, it's not like that. Do it and you're there. It's your mind has to slow down and your body slows down, like when you meditate. And you're taking yourself into self-hypnosis. That's basically what it is. Yeah. It's a form of self-hypnosis, like when you're hypnotized, but somebody else talks you down into that. You're training your mind out to kind of relax and slow down. And then you're in that state of self-hypnosis. And then that's when the guide decides, right, that's the time to step in and start the communication. You're relaxed enough. You've let go. You may be able to hear. It's like the hypnotist can talk to you and say, well, go here in your mind, go there in your mind. Yeah. Although you're taking yourself there. With this, so it's self-hypnosis, and then that guy can connect with your consciousness, and the two blend together, so they become one, and then they start to maneuver the energy of the human and their energy. And I guess that's how they work with it. It takes some time, it takes practice for them as well as you. They're relying on your trust. and they're coming from a place that's a higher realm, so they have to move through that into our earthly energy to come and be with us.
Yeah.
And they have to practice themselves, so that they're learning on their side as well.
Because it must be quite a difficult thing. Someone told me once that for a higher being or someone like Jonathan with high vibration, a guide, coming into the physical body is a bit like an adult trying to put a baby grow on. And I thought, okay, I'd like to see it, of course, but yeah, I thought that was quite an amazing, just that whole idea of that energy and the dense energy here, and for spirit to come and blend with us. And again, Jonathan in the interview mentioned about, did you know that you were twin flames?
Yeah, I felt that. I knew there's something. I didn't understand twin flames when I first started out. I didn't know about it. But when I connected with him and he showed me, well, I felt that love and I felt my whole self light up. Never experienced anything like it. I knew that we must have had some sort of deep connection, because I felt that, and it was like, whoa, what was that? Nice, but it doesn't give it. It was only the first time I met him. After that, it kind of stopped, but there was still a very, very deep love there. So I did, and sometimes when he would come to me, I'd get a feeling over my heart energy, and it would kind of your heart. Like when you're going to meet someone for the first time, or like you're excited about something, you're all anticipating, you're nervous as well, but not the nervousness, but a feeling like an excitement, like something really good's going to happen, and my heart would kind of flutter when he was there, and I thought, I know you're here because my heart's fluttering. It's like I suppose it's like when you meet your partner for the first time and your heart flutters.
Yeah.
It's that sort of feeling, but really strong, Whoa, I haven't had that for a while, but,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Sometimes he will come in and do that.
Because I didn't realize that how rare twin flames are. Jonathan was explaining it's very rare, and it's rare that twin flames incarnate at the same time as well.
Yeah.
We've all got them. We all have, and like another half of us, we call it, like a twin soul, twin flame. We all have them.
Yeah.
But obviously, some of us in this life don't connect spiritually, and we don't always know anything about it. But should we meet them in the physical life? I mean, a friend of mine described her meeting with her twin soul, and I thought, my goodness, that must have been just, out of this world to connect with someone humanly. That was the physical relationship of the twin soul, and they hated being apart. They couldn't even go to the shops without, strong feeling for each other. And she said we never connected speaking hardly. We would just look at each other for hours, what seemed like hours, and hold a conversation mind to mind. There was no speaking needed. And she said we would sit outside and we'd look like an old married couple that weren't talking to each other, but all our mind was mind connection. We could just consciously connect.
Yeah. Beautiful. That's beautiful. So when you're in the restaurant next time, guys, and there's a couple not talking to each other, they might be twin flames, okay? So we won't.
Unless they're like that. If they're proud of each other, then they're annoyed.
Absolutely, and she's on the phone. So we'll see. But there's a couple of questions as well. Andy Benson asked, hi Andy.
Hi Andy.
Great question. He's put, is trance mediumship available to all of us? Like how you work through Elaine, because he was kind of talking.
I suppose if your soul had come down here to do that, then you'll do it. If you had planned another journey, like say you wanted to become a healer and you came to the earth and you became a healer as planned, that's what you would do. So I can't say we wouldn't all have the ability, but because we're all souls within, but I would say that if your soul planned it, then you'd do it.
Yeah.
If you say you come in and you say, well, at that certain point in my life, I shall start the mediumship and I shall connect through trance, and then another soul might come in and say, well, in that time in my life, I'm going to become a clairvoyant medium, or I'm going to become a healer, and whatever the soul had planned, it will live out, as Jonathan tells us. So that's what I believe, and I've come to know, that we all plan our lives, and if we've planned to be a trance medium, that's what shall happen.
Yeah, it's almost like a contract, I guess. Because Anthony remembers.
Yeah. So what the soul chooses.
Yeah, because Anthony, you remember as part of before you come here, Anthony has a memory of choosing his parents.
Yeah, I had this memory right from young, Elaine, and it's
Did
never.
you?
Yeah, it was like a dream, and I've mentioned this before on previous spiritual talk shows in the past, but yeah, and even now, as Paul brings it up, as oh, by the way, do you remember this kind of thing? It's just like yesterday, that memory, but it was like
Wow.
right from when I was young, and it felt like a dream. Whether I did dream that in a subconscious level when I was asleep, or whether I was daydreaming, which is a form of meditation, as we know anyway, that I had that awareness of having a choice of which parents I had the choice of picking before coming back, but also having the awareness that one form of life that I chose was going to be either a little bit more of a challenge, but more rewarding, and that's what I do remember in that sense. What's in me as a memory, not in my brain as a memory, as a knowing, if that makes sense.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I guess as part of like mediumship, and so Andy was saying, is it open to everyone? I guess yes. I guess there is to some degree. But then in a circle, though, I've sat in a trance circle. Sometimes there are people that just seem to hold the power or bring the power.
Yeah. We used to sit with a guy like that. Although he used to go into trance, his name was Keith, and our birthdays were literally a day apart.
Okay.
And every time, he was in the room, the power that would, you could just plug him in and he'd supply everyone with all this power. And his guy would never speak. His guy would never speak. And he was a Chinese guy. You could see it literally over his face. He'd sit so quietly, and this Chinese guy would just be there watching, taking it all in, and supplying us with the energy, basically. So even like a plug-in box, and like, away you go, plug your phone in. But every time I sat with him, it was always powerful. And one day I went to a psychic fair, and I was sitting there, and all of a sudden, I felt like I needed to go in, and my twin shouted out to him, "We want you back," because he was like their energy supply. But that's the night I saw Jesus, and he was sitting in the room in the trance when I saw him, and that building shook.
Oh, right.
That her house vibrated, literally, as I told you, and all the lights went on, and they pointed to him, because she said, "Where is it coming from?" And they pointed to him because he was the power that was enabled me to have that happen.
Yeah.
And it's like people just sit there like power backs for spirit. They just supply so much energy, and spirit come in the room and they use that energy because there's just so much of it with them.
Yeah.
Marie has asked a really good question. It kind of leads into what Carol has asked. Carol, on a daily basis, she offers herself to spirit to be used in the best way they feel spirit to connect. Marie's also put, is there development techniques when you're on your own? My guide likes to overshadow me frequently. Thanks for the question, Marie.
Yeah, thanks, Marie.
Yeah, there is, he has been before, my guide, and I said, "Oh, not now," He said, "Well, I need to talk to you," and he's just come through when I've been laying there and said words. He hadn't done it lately, but a while ago, he'd just sit me up in bed and he'd be talking through me, and I could hear what he was saying, and I took note of it. And what he said was starting to come true, years later.
Was that more about you opening that channel? Now you because you are a very good channel. You're probably one of the best I've ever seen.
Same here.
And so the work and the commitment and dedication to be that, is this your reward? I guess so you're not. Maybe Jonathan was trying to use you more to communicate more, even when you weren't ready to communicate.
Yeah, he's come through me in my sleep before.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know. My partner said to me, quite a few months ago. I think it was last year, I think. And he just said to him, "You'll be fine." Well, weeks later, he had a lot of troublesome things going on.
Oh,
He was fine, and never seen it like go that far. And he had some troublesome things to deal with, so he dealt with them in the end, and he was fine. And he must have seen that in advance happening. Well, none of us knew about what would happen. Then all of a sudden he came through in my sleep. I didn't hear anything, nothing. And he just said, "Well, you went into your Jonathan mode in the night." Freaked me out and said, "You'll be fine. Don't worry, you'll be fine."
That's really. I mean, from a personal point of view, your partner obviously is okay with that.
Well, no, freaks him out a bit.
Is he quite supportive? Is he quite supportive, Elaine, for you?
Oh, he's been very supportive. Yeah, very. He's taken me to demos and things like that. Although he doesn't get into it himself, he's very supportive.
Yeah.
And he's sometimes given evidence himself, and I think, God, you'd be really good at this, but he doesn't do it like I do. He just goes along with it. And yeah.
Can we give him a shout? What's his name?
Frank. His name's
Hello,
Frank.
Hi, Frank.
Yeah. So, big
He's
shout
probably in the other room at the moment. He's talking about fishing things, but he likes fishing.
A great question from Emily. Hi, Emily.
Hi, Emily.
She's put, "Hi, Elaine. Sometimes others speak through you. When did they introduce themselves, or were they all there from the very beginning?"
Great question. Yeah.
Well, they were probably there from the beginning because they all know when they're going to come in. As a soul, we all get together. We plan things before we come here, and at that certain time in your life that happens. And I guess that they've got something to learn from it as well. The souls that are working with you. My twin she was there quite a lot. She hasn't been in for quite a while, but obviously she is still there with us. But she used to come in and talk, and she used to dance with my feet, which I said, "You're going to have to quit that because that's hurting me." I haven't got the energy that you've got in spirit. My legs, are human.
Yeah.
She even come through someone else and did that as well. She came through two women, mother and daughter, and danced with their legs, And I thought, well, that's all right because that girl's young, so it don't matter. But she was amazing, and my daughter see her several times. So, but she hasn't been through, but because she's my twin, you see, she can come through easily if she wanted to. And then little Sophie, I didn't know was my mother's friend's granddaughter that hadn't been born, and they were going to call her daughter was going to call their baby Sophie had she had a girl.
Oh, okay.
Right.
This Sophie appeared one night in our circle and spoke to her nan, who's now passed, and she spoke to her, and I thought, crikey, I didn't know your daughter had a miscarriage. You don't discuss things like that, do you? To young kids, then,
Yeah.
And years later, my daughter was going to call her daughter's my granddaughter Sophie, and she appeared and spoke to her nan in the circle. So she started working with me a little bit, but she's also stepped back. So what they'll do is they'll come in, work with you for a bit, step back, and then maybe a time later they'll come back in. They don't leave you, but their bit's done for that time, and then they'll come in and out, and but they'll stick with you. But the guide is the main one.
Yeah.
So I knew about Karen because she was in my house before. She's been in this house several times. Makes me wonder. I wish I could see her. That'd be a bit strange, but
yeah.
It was,
you.
Yeah, it was interesting, Elaine, with the interview because the different spiritual guides and the people you've explained were actually swapping over at one point and coming through you, which was lovely to see that interaction as a team supporting you, from spirit. It's lovely.
My brother's there, Peter, but he stays in the background. He only ever came through once in our circle to briefly speak, but he remains in the background helping me, I expect. I don't know what he does, but he does stick with me and help me from that side, but doesn't come forward. I think he was a bit of a quiet lad in life and a bit shy, so he stays in the background of him. And my twin, well, she was probably like my living sister. They don't care what anyone thinks. They're just like, well, we'll get in there, you know, have a bit of fun. I think she'd have been a confident girl, but on the other side, she's she's so funny. She knows what people do. So she said to my friend once, she said, oh, I know what happened to you. She said, you got out of the shower and stumped your toe, tripped and stumped your toe and then swore. And he said, how did you know that? You've been in the shower. She said, well, it's just a body. She'd been in the shower. She'd seen him get out of the shower and he probably was in the raw, you know. I said, Karen, what are you up to? Naughty girl.
We've got so many people asking questions, Elaine, and we just had a lovely lady called Ashley Tier, a guest on the show as well. She was interviewed end of last year, I believe. She's asked a question: can you share about multi-dimensional guides or galactic guides? Because it's interesting. Because I know, do you know what? I tell this story so many times on Facebook. I should know. I find out there is a famous medium who once was told, after 25 years of working with her guide, he turned around and said to her, are you ready to see me in my true form? And she was like, pardon? And it turned out he was an alien.
Wow.
And he said to her basically, well, if you'd have known that from the beginning, would you have worked with me? Good point. But Ashley's asking, I mean, do you get a sense of the interdimensional of Jonathan? Because this is the problem, living in this reality.
He ain't an alien.
No, I don't. It doesn't. Something doesn't come across of that. Or it does make me wonder whether we have many lifetimes on many planets.
Yeah.
Some people believe in that aspect, that we potentially could have lives going across the universe in different star systems potentially. You know, it's like anything; it's all subjective, isn't it? So. But from your own perspective and working with Jonathan, does he give you a feel that interdimensional being, or because again, the soul exists on many levels as well, doesn't it? So it's quite a
no, but I do have one that comes through. The one that came through tonight, actually, to give a friend of mine healing, and it sounds a bit like a movie name he gives himself. He calls himself Zordon.
Zordon, okay.
But he doesn't spell it like it sounds. It's kind of spelled with a silent P, so it's P-S-O-R-D-O-N. Zordon.
Oh, right.
Okay.
I don't know if he's a highly evolved being or he's a being from another planet.
Yeah.
Because his healing was different to the others, and when we had him come through in our circle, he would all make them feel so relaxed that they'd almost want to fall asleep, that they want to go to sleep. Not because they were bored, it was because the energy was so strong that they felt overwhelmed with this so relaxed feeling that it almost made them feel like they wanted to go off to sleep.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
So he gives off that sensation, and he came onto the train because some people were like quite loud and brash, and I don't begrudge people of enjoying themselves, but they were doing me head in. Because I was knackered through walking around, and suddenly I felt this energy, and I thought, I ain't Jonathan. And I said, okay, if you're real, like you say you are, I said, prove it to me. And I said, can you make them people be a bit quiet over there? And within minutes of the train moving, not one of them, but all four of them kind of dozed off for a few minutes. And they all woke up and they were all like, dazed. I thought, oh, cool, yes. Yanni, do more.
We could all do with some of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was amazing. I thought, I couldn't believe it. That actually worked. And I thought, oh, maybe it's just, but I suddenly realised, I thought, wow, that's something else. I thought if it was just one, I would have kind of doubted it, but it was all four of them, the same table on the train. I thought, what the heck? He's put them all to sleep.
Does he explain where he comes from, or is it just he just?
No, he didn't. He didn't say where he come from. No.
Because that's the other thing. Sometimes people think guides, you'll get names, because sometimes guides don't give names, do they?
No, they don't always. So maybe they're. So I'm just looking at that beautiful sunset out there. Sky's literally turned orange.
Yeah, it is gorgeous. Yeah.
That's an eerie colour.
Tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? I forgot now.
So when Jonathan, we were talking about Jonathan being a multidimensional being, as we all are, I guess. But we're talking about.
What? I'll tell you something. One night I was in the trance at our group, because we sat in that group for many years, and I kind of went a little bit further into the trance, because it gave me that opportunity, because they kind of let me relax, and they just sat with it, and I saw a being sitting in an extension, like a modern extension in a house, like those glass extensions. And he was sitting on the chair by the window, and it was an old man with long grey hair and a beard. And he looked at me and he said in Jonathan's voice, "What did you expect?"
Ah.
Oh, right.
And I thought, did you just, is that you, or do you? But when he presented me to me in my dream, he looked as he'd been painted, and my daughter said that's how he looked. But whether he was showing himself as another form that he could do if he wanted to, and he just said, don't be so about the visual. What did you expect? That's what he just said. What did you expect? Yeah. And I don't think the people in the room knew what he was on about, because he was saying it to me, and he showed me a picture of this old wizardry kind of looking man.
Okay.
And I thought, well, what's this all about then? That you could change to any form that you want to if you could. Yeah. So they can present themselves in any way. Perhaps he presented himself from another life, and that's the way he looked in another life.
Yeah.
And for those people that are not sure or don't have much experience, some guides show themselves or like a power animal. They'll show themselves as an animal rather than a being. Does Jonathan ever do that?
Indians, I find, do that. I had an Indian once. It wasn't for me, it was for somebody else. And he presented himself as the wolf, and then he turned into the Indian man.
Oh, beautiful.
So she said about the wolves and everything, and then he morphed into an Indian man.
Yeah.
So they can present themselves any way they want.
Yeah.
This is more of a learning, Elaine, isn't it? First, not just. It's more.
It's like people see Jesus in different ways, don't they? They all seem different. Some seem with brown eyes, blue eyes, fair skin, darker skin, and of course he would have been Jewish, I suppose, so he would have had darker skin. But when I spoke to a woman who knew about the Jewish side of things, she said, well, some of them, on a rare occasion, did have blue eyes.
Oh, right.
And when I saw him, he had blue eyes.
I know you've been working for a very long time as a child, and I guess you're so advanced and further down the road, but there's a lot of people out there, Elaine, that will be on the beginning of their journey. And Emily's asked, can you feel the change with different people coming into you? So when you first establish you've got an energy coming in, you're trying to work out whether it's a guide, is there any tips you can give people to help them to ascertain what the energy is or how to communicate?
Yeah, I'd say they're all different energies. Some are more like not forceful in a bad way, but like they may have been a bit more louder in life and brash coming through. And then you get another energy and it's more gentle. So you will feel the change in you, in your energy, what surrounds you and within you. You'll feel the change because you'll know the difference between the two. It's kind of softened down, or all of a sudden it might be an Indian, so they sit upright like that and be like that. There's a difference between each way that they present themselves as individuals, and that's how you feel the difference, because an Indian probably sit you upright, and then another one might have sat slouched in life, or they might have been more relaxed or whatever. That's how they can present themselves to you like that. Well, everyone knows that Indians probably would have sat upright, or some perhaps didn't. They're all different. Every energy is different. So when they come through me, Karen would be like a mischievous little child, and Jonathan would be a straightforward, upright man. and then another one may come through. They may have a softer voice and a softer kind of energy with them. All different. You can feel the change take place.
I guess as well, with that blending and how that feels. From my guide and my experiences that I've had, it's that unconditional love you feel from them. So
Yeah.
you know, straight away, you know you've got a higher being with you. And
lovely. It really is, you know. Well, you know yourself, you felt it, and probably you have, Anthony. You know, you can't describe it, can you? It's like, feel safe.
Yeah.
You feel loved, you feel protected, you feel happy, and you don't want to come out of it, do you?
No,
I know, but Elaine, it's easy for you because you've been doing it for so long and you've mastered it. It's such a brilliant gift that you have.
Well, I just learned how to trust. It took me years. I mean, although he was able to speak, I thought, what are you? Are you evil? Are you good? Are you this? Are you that? You know, so many questions. He got tellings off and all sorts. You know, they have to be presenting you with something, and they have to prove themselves to you, and they've got nothing to prove, but you want the proof, so they'll give it to you. And if you want the proof, ask them to give it to you.
Yeah,
it's nothing wrong. They won't tell you off or be angry with you to give you the proof. Ask them to send you some news, ask them to give you proof of their existence.
Yeah. Do you feel still like you're still evolving though, Elaine?
Everyone's evolving all the time and never stop learning.
Yeah.
I'm still developing. You develop for the rest of your life. Learning never stops. I never claim to be at the top, because you never are, because you're still learning. And I've still got to learn how to let go a bit more. I went to Mark Bedward, who's in Australia, who's a trance medium himself, and he took his time aside for me. I said, look, Mark, I said, I'm having terrible trouble in letting go. I said, as soon as anything happens where I start dropping lower, I start freaking out and I start pulling myself out of it. And I wish that I hadn't, but it's like the subconscious kind of takes control. And he said, just imagine like falling off a cliff. I said, what, falling off a cliff? I said, that'd be way worse. And he said, but into your mother's arms. And I just cried my eyes out. He said, what a lovely man. You can interview him, Mark Bedward in Australia.
I've just written his name down. So
Mark Bedward. He's been doing trance for quite a number of years as well. And he teaches and mentors as well. What a lovely guy. Yeah, it's like he just gave me healing. That's all he had to say. Because I miss my mother like crazy. And you know, he just said that, and I said, I'm sorry, I couldn't help myself there.
Yeah. Into
your mother's arms. And I thought, well, that's all I ever wanted was a mother to be there. And I did have a good mum later in life. So anyway, after that, I began to try and trust and let go, but it's still taking me time. It just doesn't. I think most people want to be flick. They want to be out of it. They don't want to interfere. But your brain's still going to be part of it. Your consciousness is still going to blend with that soul.
Yeah.
You're always going to be part of it, no matter what. You might not hear it or something on a rare occasion, but most trance mediums I've connected with can hear. There's one or two that can't.
Yeah.
There's a guy that used to take his hearing aid out, his teeth, false teeth out the lot, yet he could. Spirit still spoke through him, and he couldn't hear a thing. So he would go out of it, and Spirit would still come and talk.
Yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing. Carol Phillips has asked, the lovely Carol. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
I should actually give Carol a big shout. You know, everybody, Carol helps us get the guests on our show. So a big thank you to Carol. Anyway, Carol, she's asked, did Jonathan have to learn how to manipulate your body before his voice came through?
Yeah. He used to speak kind of a bit no expression sort of thing. I mean, I've got old recordings of him that I've saved, and I've kept my old tape recorder. So a couple of years ago, I played it back to the people how he'd sound, but it still sounded like him, but with less expression. So he had to learn how to create that expression through the voice box, talking. So his essence, he brought more forward as time went on. And they have to learn how to manipulate our energy in a good way, of course, and to learn how to connect through it and how to speak and bring their knowledge through. You know, not all of them do change the voices. Some don't, but it's the way they speak, the words they give, that tells you that it's not that person, but they're part of the connection, but the guide is there and saying what they would prefer to say. So, you know, if your voice doesn't change, don't say you're in trance and you're doing it. It means to say that trust it, because you can usually feel if it's, you know, a soul coming through to speak with you to other people. You'll know the feeling.
And it's also interesting that he uses that. It's interesting that he uses that voice as well from that particular life where he knew you as well.
Where he knew me, it's so strong. I mean, I can't help myself, you know. I doubted and questioned, but every time I tried, my head and my heart would say, no, this is right. I couldn't ignore it. You can't ignore it. It's just your head and your heart tell you, and your gut tell you. And when all the three of them connect on something like that, you know that you're in the right place.
Yeah.
No, as long as it's done in the light and you do it properly, then I can't see anything wrong with it.
So sorry to go over this again if we've gone over it, but with Jonathan and also these other unique, lovely people in spirit that are working with you as well, when did they make themselves aware through the trance state like Jonathan did? Was it similar time frame or not?
No, some of them came through later on in the trance, like Genevieve showed up a few years later, and some of the other, like Karen, showed up as I started going into it. And then, of course, Sophie showed up a few years into it. So they didn't all show up straight away. It was a gradual process of time when they thought, well, she's come to the right time where I'm able to make the connection now, and I'll start to come in. First, it was a random one, George, that came through that had a stroke. And I didn't have any idea who he was. He was just coming in and probably wanting to say, well, hello. And that's when he deliberately gave me that thing as if to say, well, you're in control. You can tell us how we come through. And I said, well, please don't come through with your ailments, because you haven't got them anymore and I don't need to feel them.
Yeah.
I didn't want your stroke, you know. I didn't want to feel that way. So I wanted to feel comfortable with it. And that's when they started to say, okay, right, you don't want them sort of things, we'll come through. But sometimes I do get heart pain, and there's nothing wrong with my heart, but it turns out as soon as he mentions they had a heart attack, pain goes away.
Yeah.
So Effie's asked a question, because I want to come on to your spirit art, if that's okay, in a sec. But Effie's asked a question, not heard of this before. Is it true there is a place on the other side? How would you pronounce that? Novyu? And the other side is separated into 4 quadrants.
Oh, wow.
I don't know. When I went into heaven, when I went to see my brother in heaven, he took me there. It was massive. It was just, I don't know, I can't even explain. It was like huge. And that's probably just one little space of it, you know. It's realms. That's what it is. It's realms. No one's going to say, "Oh, well, I'm higher than you, and you're down there." There's realms that work their way up to the highest possible realms, aren't there? And I mean, I wouldn't know exactly myself, but when I went to see my brother, it was massive. The light was just pure golden white light. That's what it was, you know.
Yeah.
Can I get my cat out, because he's driving
Yes,
me?
you can. Yeah, absolutely.
He's in the door. He's doing me head in.
We're gonna, I love that.
Back to a grounded level. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a Paul's also made a comment. Hi, Paul. He's also been on as a guest way back in the day when we first started. Good to see you, Paul. He's put, I've just finished my seance, and it's a pleasure to catch to the end of this. Spirit always changes my voice too, but at the moment they aren't talking much. They are working on other things, so that's interesting. So he's working with a blend and going for a deeper connection by the sound of it. And I hope your spiritual center is going well, Paul. So, okay, another question. Should people with mental health challenges work in trance states, Elaine?
Well, if they're on medication, you know, it's not all a good idea to kind of go into that state, because you're at a low place in your life. You know, you might get low entities or something. I'm not saying you necessarily would, but that's what you've got to be careful of. You've got to be in a state of mind. I mean, we all get sad sometimes. We all get, and I mean, I've been sad today because my mother-in-law passed.
Yeah,
and we've just been to see her partner today, so it's very raw with us at the moment.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of keeping it together. I've done my crying bit, and I'm all right at the moment. But as I say, if you're in deep depression, it's not very good to work with trance in that state, because you need to get sorted out first.
Yeah.
You don't want anything negative attaching itself to you, you know. And as I say, it's probably best to work in a sound state of mind, in a positive. They want you to work in a positive state of mind, not a negative one.
Yeah.
So it's not good to work in trance. And I'll be truthful with you. It's not good to work in trance with depression.
Yeah, great.
And Elaine, I just quickly want to say before we move on to the next question, if there's anyone on here that feels anything to do with dark energy or spirit in a negative way, that wouldn't work in a trance state, would it?
What if they wanted to come through?
Yeah, if you're working with the light.
Oh, if you're working with the light, I worked with the light, believe me, and I still had a young lad that had that attachment attach itself to me. Because I was probably in a vulnerable state in the trance, and it was like, well, I'm in there, yeah, but I got it sorted out. So, you know, even though you may be in a positive state of mind, you've got to know that your sitters are also in that positive state of mind. And if you feel that if something isn't right, then, you know, you've got to trust in it. You've got to trust in something, that if something isn't right, then you must, you know, go with it. Always do things in the light. Put the power of a friend of mine who used to deal with all that sort of side of it, you know, clearances and everything else. She said, in this world today, the way it is, you don't need just the light. You need the ultraviolet light, white light. You need the powerful light. You ask for the highest form of light, which I ask for. Every time I pray and when I close down, I ask for the highest form of light to be placed over everyone that I've spoken to, and myself, my pets, everything. I'll have nothing other than that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony's just come on and said hello to everyone. He's not been on for a while. He's going through a hard time. Hope things improve for you, Tony, and hope to see you back on very soon. Amelia, have I said that right?
Yeah.
I don't know why. I'm slightly dyslexic, and sometimes. Anyway, wouldn't your guide stop lower energies blending with you?
There may have been a certain thing that I would have had to learn from that, in the way of, well, you know, this is what can happen, and this is how you protect yourself. You see, you learn to be more vigilant in the future, and be more determined to work with even more light.
Yeah.
It may be a lesson. You know, all it takes is one slip. I mean, my mum and dad sat in the circle years and years ago, and it was a physical phenomena circle. So you're going deep, you know.
Yeah.
And he was quite fine in the trance, and all it took was my mum and Nan to have one little bicker over something. So it wasn't a big argument or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was one little bicker, and that spirit was in. It got in, and I think I've locked my partner out. Sorry. Sorry.
Well, we've had a big hello to Frank anyway. He's been locked out.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really sorry. Condolences to Tony as well. He's lost his mum.
Oh.
I locked him out, the poor bugger. In the garden.
Sorry about that, Frank. Oh, that's funny. Okay.
Tony.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
It's outside knocking the door. Who's that? Spirit?
Oh, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Can we just quickly go on to talk about your artwork, Elaine? Does Jonathan help you with your art, or do you find you have other guides and helpers? Now, some people might have seen this jump up a minute ago. I'm just going to add this to the stream.
Yeah.
Some of your beautiful artwork here.
Oh, thank you. That was 2021. I think I could just about see we've got bad eyes.
Because you do all different sizes, don't you? You do hearts, you do other things as well. I don't know if you want to explain as well what else you do.
Oh yes, I do all sorts of things. I do whatever spirit give to me. Sometimes they want me to do things with energy, mostly paintings, because they know I love beautiful places, scenery and things. And sometimes souls appear in the paintings.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes one of my paintings, I asked one soul to come through in it, and this soul just came through, and it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I have a great connection with trees because they have souls, and spirit give me their world, what's in their world. And sometimes the paintings have meanings. They've got messages hidden in them. It could be a message for them. I mean, say like that tree may have been something, a new beginning in the springtime. Springtime's new beginnings, isn't it?
Yeah.
And trust, the wisdom of the tree, and trust in new beginnings. And we're all with you. So the birds flying free.
Yeah.
Maybe a sign that our spirits in heaven are with you, guiding through your new beginnings. That's what that actually says to me. No.
Do you think though there's a link between your artwork and your ability to work with Jonathan, because you're allowing that blend more natural and helping that artistic side of you come through, that self-expression?
Yeah, I've always loved art, anyway. I never took it up as an adult. I never took it up. I kind of, worked with the elderly, and that's what I did. That it was 2014 I was introduced to the art. Spirit said, "You're going to be doing art with us." I said, "You what?" I said, "I'm no good at art. I'm not going to do that." And I said, "I couldn't draw a matchstick man." And they said, "Well, we'll help you." So there are artists that literally, friends of mine as well, they do spirit art, spirit guides and stuff, couldn't draw a stick. Sandy Ingham, she couldn't draw. A guide come through, overtook him through. Yeah, brilliantly, So they did that with me. I'm no good at drawing faces, but the shadows of the souls come through in the paintings sometimes, and sometimes there's just places that they'll take you to, and there are hidden messages within them, or obvious messages sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I have them on my phone, and I keep them on my tablet, so I've got record of what I've done, and I can look back at them. And some of them I look at and I think, did I really do that?
Yeah.
It's not professional, but there's something special about it, because you just feel like you want to go in there. But I would love to paint more, even better. I'd love to paint hyper-realism and all that sort of stuff, but obviously I haven't.
Maybe in the future. Maybe in the future.
I wish, yeah.
I think Sandy said, didn't Sandy say she was 60 when her guide came in?
Yeah.
Leonardo came in and started working with her. She was 60 years old.
Yeah, they don't care about age. My friend Pamela, she was in her 60s when her guide come through, and it was Chief Yellowhawk, and he actually existed. They found out all the information of Chief Yellowhawk, and she would literally look like an Indian sitting there. Her face would change from the side view. You'd look at it, you see the side of her face change. It's amazing to watch.
Brilliant.
Wow.
That is brilliant. Honestly, we could talk for hours and hours and hours. So, Elaine, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Well, wherever spirit want to take me, I keep reminding myself to write the book, but I'm useless at writing, and I don't know where to begin. So I've said, look, come in and help me, and when the time is right, I'll do it. Yeah. It's obviously not right yet, because your mind isn't in the right place for it yet. Start when I'm ready. But
and are you going down the teaching route yet, or is that something?
I've been down the teaching route. I found it didn't suit me. I love giving people advice on it.
Yeah.
But I am doing a teaching thing with Joe Bradley, and I'm absolutely nervous about it. I am nervous, I must admit, because I've helped the odd individual, and I had a group for 2.5 years here, but it's been a long time, and it's on screen, so I'm trusting in Joe. We're going to talk to each other and find out how we're going to set the whole thing out. It's a whole day thing.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, oh no, she might be more experienced than me. I'm going to feel right idiot.
Do you know if it's fully booked or not? If anyone's listening, they get a chance to get on.
No, others can come in on it. You know, it's a whole day thing. I think it starts from. I think it's 10 till 5 or something. Obviously, I have breaks in between.
Whereabouts is this, Elaine?
This is all on. If you get in touch with Jo Bradley, she'll tell you, because she's the one running it. I just agreed to come in on it, you know, and help.
Yeah.
I think teaching is my strong point. To be honest, I not say that I wouldn't want to, but it's not my strong point. I believe it's hers. She's so straightforward, straight down the line with Jo. If you interview her, she's straight down the line. You have interviewed her, haven't you?
Yes, we have. Yeah, we did.
Yeah, well, here she's doing it. Let me have a look at the date on here, because I'm useless. I keep forgetting dates.
Be handy if we can give a shout out to what date.
Yeah, it's got it on here.
Is it on your website as well?
It's Saturday the 23rd of July.
Okay.
And it's at 11 o'clock till 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's like an all-day, I've just put all-day class, but it's like some people call them workshops, but, you know, I just say, well, you're just coming here to start on your path. You're just coming here to, this is just beginning. You won't learn it all in one day, in one class. It's impossible. You just come here, and then that's just like baby steps towards the next, and then perhaps Jo will carry on. She's the teacher. I'll leave it up to her. I'm not. I must admit, I'm not a very good. I'm all right, but not as I would want to be. You know.
Sorry, just a quick question again. Do you do any public displays of trance at all, Elaine?
Yeah, I do demos.
Yeah. Where's the next one?
The next one is September. Now, let me have a look at September on here. And it's in Eltham Church in London. So if I flick this calendar forward to September, then I'll know what it is. God, that ain't too far away either, is it? I think it's 4. Let's have a look. Oh, right. I think there's supposed to be Sunday the 21st of August, a demo at Littleford Church, but we didn't hear back from them. So we've got to get back to them. Let's see when this...
Do you mainly demo within your local area, though, Elaine? Do you go further afield or just stay local?
Yeah, I have been further afield, but my partner's not very keen on driving. If he don't know where he's going, we end up like at loggerheads because he don't know where he's going, even with the sat nav. You know, like, I took the wrong turn, damn. You know what it's like, don't you? Well, the next one is Eltham Church in London, and that's Saturday, 10th of September.
Okay.
And then there's another one, I think. The next one is a London event with Tracy Hood. So you can go onto her Facebook page, you'll see their shop, Tracy Hood. It's Tracey for Tracy and HOOD for Hood. She's on my Facebook, and Lindsley. So I can't remember what their shop's called. I must go onto their site.
Yeah.
But that's the 2 dates in September, and I've got one in August. Let's go back to August.
Are tickets available for that, Elaine? Because I know people would love to see you live.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go on their websites and you'll find the tickets are available. Eltham Church, like August. Let's go back to August because I've got a local demo in August.
Yeah. And it says it all on your website as well.
It should. I think it does. Yeah, it should do.
Which is www.elainethorpe.com.
Right, let me have a look.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's now where are we? Because I've got to find the August one. I know there was one at the 5 Bells. We're running into September. These phone calendars are a nuisance because you scroll. Saturday the 13th of August, I'm at the 5 Bells in Eastry in Sandwich, which starts at 7:30.
Okay.
That's where I am. 5 Bells pub in Eastery in Sandwich. They have like a hall at the back of the pub, which is separate from the pub, and then they have readings afterwards there. So you get there for like 7 and start at 7:30.
I have a feeling that's going to be quite popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a lot. The energy in that room is amazing at the back of there. It's just amazing every time. You know,
if you fancy come to Somerset, let us know.
I've been to Brixham in Devon, but the journey was we were knackered for a week.
Yeah.
We left at 2 a.m. in the morning, got back, and I thought, God, I'm going to do that journey again. He wouldn't. I don't think he would drive to Devon again. We were knackered, honestly. Going there was fine, but we ended up on the wrong side of the road at about 4 a.m. in the morning on the way back. I said, this is so weird. I said, how did we get onto that side of the road? There's traffic. I was like, they're on the wrong side of the road, quick. There was no lorries or anything coming, thank God, because we were so tired, I think. I think I did about 18 readings and 3 demos and that weekend. And I'm knackered.
Elaine, we just want to thank you so much for allowing Jonathan to come on and to speak to the viewers.
It's been brilliant.
You're welcome. Yeah.
The other thing is, I don't know if you can see the comments. We've kind of overrun a little bit tonight, so we've missed the messages. But can you see the comments people have shared? Can you pick a name for? I think it's your turn, Anthony, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Comments
on the right-hand side.
Oh yes, brilliant interview. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Elaine and Jonathan. Karen Campbell, Tony Dorr. Great talk. Marion Frisbee, thank you.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of people.
Thank you everyone for coming on here.
Yeah. So if you want to pick a name,
just scroll through those names, Elaine, and just get drawn to a name for us.
Okay. Come on, Spirit. Eva Jurston.
Right. Congratulations.
I'm sorry I mispronounced it, Eva, but
there we go, Eva. Yes, congratulations, Eva. You got a free reading with myself, free 30 minutes. Just give us a shout on Facebook, give us a message, and we'll sort out a date that's convenient for you.
Right, good luck, Eva.
Yeah. Again, once again. Once again, thanks everybody. Thanks for watching, and thanks, Elaine. It's been brilliant. It's been a brilliant evening.
Brilliant.
Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. And we're back next week with a young lady all the way from Vancouver, Jane Dance. So we're looking forward to that interview as well.
Yeah.
So for now, guys, everybody have a wonderful weekend, and we'll see you back. Well, Anthony and I will see you back next week.
See you next week, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
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 Bye.